there, Bronco fans. This is Shad and Chris here at Bronco Planet, and I got to tell you what, you may wonder what's with the ridiculous hats and the glasses. Well, it's a ridiculous season. Chris, last year we had a deja vu problem, and it was the Broncos kept losing and embarrassing themselves, and now this year we've got another deja vu problem, but in the opposite way. It's like, can you believe it? We keep winning. How do you explain it?
Well, at this point, I mean, it seems fairly obvious, I think, to everyone that it's simply an act of God. And at this point, if you're Goodell or some guy in the league offices, you probably just cancel the whole thing, bring the Lombardi Trophy out, and plan a parade for next week. I mean, at this point, it seems like it's that's the only thing that's going to stop them is somebody finally say, "Fine, you win. Here's the trophy. We'll move to the draft, and we'll just get going with next year." I'm
telling you what, it's captured the nation, and every week somebody else has got to add in on it. So we hear from Charles Barkley. Kind of looks a little bit like this last week.
Terrible.
And so he's now he's popping off, and yet here he comes again. And once again, 3/4 of complete madness, screaming, ticked off late in the third quarter. Second down, we hand it to McGahee, who's averaging 2 yards per carry. We're wasting it down every time. Right at the start of the fourth quarter, we do it again. I'm beside myself. I'm mad. I'm angry. And then you just say fourth quarter comes and you're like, this is Tebow time. Should I relax? But then some things didn't go their way for a while. Once. Did you think it was over?
This felt like one that it wasn't a stretch to see this one get away from them. This is, outside of that Jets game, this is obviously the best defense they've played. And you really noticed that a couple times where Tebow got to the edge and guys like Julius Peppers and Urlacher are actually chasing him down. This was no doubt probably the best defense that Tebow's faced this year, and I don't think anyone would have really been shocked had this comeback not really have taken place.
Well, I think when you had that awesome onside kick, and it was bouncing around there, you're like, oh, we got it there. And you're like, this is, it's just not meant to be, you know. And you'll look at the block field goal to Marius Thomas, who pulls a little bit of an Andre Goodman this week, meaning Andre Goodman last week stunk most of the game and rallies with the big interception. To Marius Thomas, what a horrible start. I've never seen a guy on a touchdown pass with no one behind you short arm it. I mean, it's like, I don't know if he thought he was going to run into the goalpost.
Well, I think he probably thought the back judge was lining him up. It was maybe going to take him out, but it was plays like that where you kind of had the feeling, Matthew Willis falling down that led to an interception. You just kind of had the feeling that maybe they weren't going to pull this one together, and that's why you can't deny that it's simply at this point just an act of God.
And speaking of that very point, we're going to kick it out to Danny in the man cave, who's going to really talk about that dumb luck or divine intervention. Danny, what do you have to think?
Well, once again, fellas, here I sit kind of beside myself in a world of wonderment, trying to figure out what just happened, or for that matter, what's been happening for this past 6-7 weeks, and I just don't have an answer. I mean, ask yourself this question. When's the last time that you can remember one particular football team going into 3 overtimes in one season? We here at Bronco Planet wanted to answer that very question, so we dove into the history books of the NFL to find out that, well, we're not quite that special. 2 other teams, the Green Bay Packers and the Carolina Panthers, both one in 1983 and 2003, both went into 5 overtime games in just one season. I don't think my blood pressure can take that. I'm surprised that I've lasted this long this season. That is one record I don't wish to break. Last week we talked a little bit about divine intervention versus dumb luck. Here's my take. Dumb luck doesn't make a running back run out of bounds when he should have stayed in bounds. Dumb luck doesn't make a running back cough up a football in overtime. And that's why God hates Marion Barber. Marion, I don't know what you did, but I would certainly consider dropping down to one knee and beg forgiveness. I kind of felt bad for him. Well, I'm going to throw it back to you guys there at the studios. My voice is just about toast. Shad, I would imagine yours is just about the same, having been right into the belly of the beast. How exciting is that? Man, I just could not stop yelling. The TV, my wife, the dogs, the cat, the fishbowl, just yell, yell, yell. I am done. I will be back on Thursday for a little something, something. So until then, God bless Matt Prater and girls with small noses.
Well, that's good hearing from Danny, and like you said, I mean, it's the weirdest thing. When you saw that fumble, you're just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Everybody's kicking long today. Yeah. His earlier field goal for the Bears just looked like he took one step, like it's easy money. He's in range, and then Barber, when
you had Gould and Prater out there today, once you got to the 40-yard line, you were in field goal range. I mean, those guys were blasting it. The overtime winner from 50 plus, and that thing's 20 yards up into that net. That thing would have been good from 70 today. I mean, those guys were drilling it.
Yeah, I mean, you want to talk about coming through. Definitely our game ball goes out to Matt Prater, who just, a 59 yards with 3 seconds to go. A lot of pressure, and I mean, that one too made it with no problem. And then the onside kick that, gave him a chance, even though nobody got it. I mean, a great game for Matt Prater, and another great game for Tim Tebow. I tell you what, the stats are going to fool you a little bit if you did not see this game, although I think everybody in the country saw this game. Even my buddy out in Los Angeles isn't seeing the Raiders in Green Bay. This just tells you a little bit about the Tebow magic. Not seeing San Diego. In L.A., the game of the week was really Chicago-Denver Broncos. So, forget the Dallas Cowboys as America's team because they're not there anymore. But Tim Tebow, 49 yards on the ground, should have had, without all the drops, 300 yards and 2 touchdowns he would have had, but, it didn't work out. But, Demaryius Thomas comes back. Who were kind of the superstars and GOATs in this game, in your opinion?
Well, the one guy that I think we've all been waiting for to show up on the defensive side of the ball was DJ Williams, who really had a great game. 9 solo tackles today. He got to the quarterback a couple of times. We dropped into coverage a couple of times. And if that group, we talked early in the year that we were going to get pressure on the quarterback from the edges, from Dumervil and Von Miller. The secondary was okay. And that linebacking core was really where I think there were the most questions. And if they play the way they played today.
Now, how about on the doghouse side of things?
Well, I mean, we've been at it a couple years now, and that's the easiest question you've ever asked me. Marion Barber. I mean, he may not have even made the flight home. That may be Greyhound back to Chicago for that guy. Inexplicably runs out of bounds. And at this level, you see it all the time. Game management is huge, and the ability to manage the clock. And you remember a couple years back, I forget the guy's name, from the Eagles against the Cowboys, broke through the line, could have taken it in for a touchdown. Instead, he goes down at the 1-yard line, keep possession of the ball. That ball game was over, Shad, and that's why I keep telling you upstairs, it's the man upstairs that made Marion Barber run out of bounds, and then the fumble in overtime. Like we were talking before, either of those offenses get to the 40-yard line. The Bears were well inside a Gold's field goal range, and to put the ball on the ground again, it goes back to shades of Jeremiah Castile, stripping Ernest Biner and things like that. And funny things are starting to happen the way they used to.
No, it's been great, and there's no you almost have to tie those things together. Usually, you're not talking about God and faith and football together. It makes a lot of people uncomfortable. But when you watch this stuff, and it's ironic because. When you think about the things that Christians believe in, our faith, you think about, the party in the Red Sea, there's always this stretch of did that really happen? Could that be possible? And yet you watch these Bronco games and you're like, is that possible? How did that happen?
Growing up here in town and before the Rockies were around, I grew up as a diehard LA Dodger fan. And go back to the '88 World Series, watch it. I'm trying to buy the team out of bankruptcy for what that's worth. You go back to that '88 World Series and the home run that Kirk Gibson calls, and Joe Buck Jack Buck is making the call on the radio. It's the greatest radio call of all time. And when Gibson hits that home run, he says, "I don't believe what I just saw." Yeah, and that's what it is. That's what this team has turned into. I don't believe what I just saw this team do again.
Well, you know what? We're going to roll with it. We're having fun out there. I know the fans are going crazy. Here, just for 2 seconds, let me show you just like 10 seconds of what it was like when they got that touchdown to tie the game, send it to overtime. Take a peek. And that's what it was like. I mean, I'm telling you, getting hit in the back, people screaming, hugging, everybody going nuts, and that's what Bronco football is all about. It's been so long since we've been able to celebrate and get excited about that. But how long we'll be celebrating, who knows how long this journey will continue with the wins and the improbable. But next week, the New England Patriots, and that could be very difficult.
Well, I honestly, with the Patriots coming into town, I think the bigger concern, New England's proven, I think, so far this year that they're typically not going to stop you on the defensive side of the football. I think really the pressure this week is not necessarily on Tebow. I think it's on the other side of the ball. And can Dumervil and can Von Miller get off the edge and disrupt that timing with Brady? Because that guy is just a mechanic back there. I mean, it is so meticulous back there, the way he, double tight ends with Hernandez and Gronkowski. And the pressure this week, I think, is off of Tebow. I think people are going to be comfortable with the ability to move the ball, put up points. It's going to be whether or not can you hold Brady under 35, 38, 42 points.
Yeah,
like
I think the Broncos really struggle against tight ends. We've seen that all the season long in slot receivers. They got the best one with Wes Welker. Maybe you put Champ on him all game. Depends on whether Andre Goodman, we've been bagging on him a little bit, but when he was gone today, we missed him.
Yeah.
And certainly our safeties, Young made a few mistakes today, some missed tackles by Raheem Moore, and some growing there. So you don't feel really good about next week, but you got this mystique going on, and we've always played well against the Patriots at home. So maybe the magic continues.
Yeah, it's a weird feeling to reel off 6 wins in a row. And I'm guessing come tomorrow you pick up the paper, and I'm guessing Denver's an underdog in that game. Coming off of 6 wins in a row, and I think that tells you what most people in football think about Brady. And there's not a ton of help on the other side of the football in New England, but man, offensively, that guy, there's none better to watch.
It should be a lot of fun.
And I meant to thank you again for talking me out of drafting Phillip Rivers, so I could take Brady. So
I know, and I've failed miserably this year, so I'm glad at least my advice is helping other people. But anyway, hey, it's been a great week. We appreciate you. Follow us on Facebook. We're giving away prizes. This week, you're not going to believe it, we're going to give away a Von Miller plaque autograph. So you're going to want to tune in to BroncoPlanet.com and Facebook, our Facebook group, to see how you win that with Von Miller, who got another sack today. Doomerville, another sack today. You know how it rolls, man. We're off to get that rookie record. Hopefully that 1 week off doesn't keep him from doing that. But you know where to catch us. You can catch us on Twitter, YouTube channel. You got us at www.BroncoPlanet.com. We appreciate y'all. And the wins just keep on rolling, man. We'll catch you next week right here on the planet.